talking to? But the sound was her sound. Like you're adjusting in bed and you go, things like that. And I just couldn't get over how I reacted to sit up and say, can I help you? But those are the things that keep you going, if you know what I mean. And people say that's crazy, it can't be. They've got a problem. They're not going to have themselves open to that inner light when they have their mind closed to possibilities.
Yeah, when my mother died, the night of her funeral, I was sleeping in a house that my brother had set me up to sleep in Ohio near the church where we were in her funeral, and my mother always was singing. And I had my best friend had come to stay with me at the funeral. And in the middle of the night, all of a sudden I woke up, and my mother also had digestive problems, and she had the most outrageous burps you've ever heard in your entire life. Like, they literally start, like, in her colon, and they work themselves all the way through the small intestines before they finally make it to the stomach and come out the mouth. And so, it's like a good, 1 minute long burp. And I was in my bed sleeping, and all of a sudden I woke up, and there was somebody burping in my room, except nobody was there. Right. And my best friend said there was somebody singing in her room, and she started singing me the song that she was hearing, and it was this campfire song that my mom used to sing around the campfire. So it was, we were both a bit shocked, but it was unmistakably my mother.
Right. Yeah, if your mind is open, still, if you want to say, quiet, that you're not involved in all kinds of emotions that overcome everything, then these experiences happen. And I had a lot of patients who would, when they knew, as one patient said to me, I know you're not a normal doctor anymore, so I can talk to you. And they brought me messages from dead patients. They would tell me their name and what the message was. I mean, some of them were mystics, but they knew I wasn't going to say that's crazy. Yeah, I even called, well, this was about one patient, and they gave me a message, and I knew who it was by his name, so I called his wife and said, do you want a message? I don't want to upset you if it's going to be too emotional. She said, no, go ahead. And I start reciting it, and she lets out a shriek. And I said, see, I didn't want to upset you. She said, you're not upsetting me. That's what he said every time he left your support group meeting. It was an exact statement from this mystic that he used to say to his wife every time they'd go out after the meeting. And, those are the things that open your mind. And when we get into that quiet state, whether it's writing your inner light or, whatever I call it, you call it, other poets call it. But when you get into that place, then special things happen at all kinds of levels. And then books get written about what is happening and the communication, whether it's with animals or dead relatives or loved ones or just, healing of the body, dreams, all these things begin to flow. And, it teaches you more about life.
Well, that's a perfect lead-in. I think I will read you a daily flame that's exactly about that. It's number 360. Can I read this?
Yeah, please.
Okay. My dear mystic, when was the last time you felt the wonder and awe of life? When did you last gasp at the beauty and mystery of it all? When was the last time you looked up at the stars and really took in their majestic vastness? Have you marveled at the crazy magic of how a caterpillar dissolves into bug soup before emerging as a fully formed flight-worthy butterfly? Do you realize that these little creatures don't just sprout wings? They completely surrender to the full disintegration of all that they were in order to become all that they must. Do you realize you are part of that same magical universe? Do you see that you are as much of a miracle as any marvelous creation on earth? Do you realize that you have a choice to see nothing as a miracle or everything as a miracle? I'm here to help you remember that there is so much more than you can see and understand. There is a mystery to how your life unfolds, but the secrets of the mystery are part of the magic. You don't need to understand or be able to control the mystery in order to trust that the magic is real. Don't give up 5 minutes before your miracle. abracadabra your inner pilot light?
You remind me of what I read every night before I go to bed. 2 books next to it. One is Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes, a spiritual aspect of life. The other, you want to talk about mystic. This book, I found it in my house. I have no idea where it came from. The Science of God.
I haven't read either of them.
It's about creation, and physics and millions of years and what we're like. And, it's mystical just to think about how did we create life, in our various parts. How do you make an eye? It's just unbelievable. But it makes you believe in the mystery of life. So, yes, if you're interested in the spiritual, read Science of Mind. And there's a lot of science in the Science of God, about astronomy and physics and all those things. But I just find it fascinating when all these things begin to be put together and written about. Because in many ways, I don't think we'll ever understand how life was created, but it was and is, and I can't help but believe in a God, whatever that definition is for me. I always say loving, intelligent, conscious energy. It's all the things that had to be put together to create that flame. Even a fire, heat, warmth, water is a miracle. One of the
I was just watching, I don't watch TV hardly ever, but we don't have a television, but my husband just started watching this documentary series called One Strange Rock by National Geographic. Mm-hmm. And it was beautiful. It's just talking about, like, when you look at the organizing intelligence of nature, and it was talking about how we get oxygen, And it's a miracle that these little diatoms in the water end up in the river of the sky above the Amazon basin and end up back in the desert in Africa and cycle around, and the astronauts are watching it from space.
That's why I say The Science of God, if your husband's interested. It's a great book to read, how life started. And, one of the things that impressed me, you may say, one day, write about water, because Jesus said we're water and spirit. And when I was reading that in the Bible, I thought, why did he say that? Adam wasn't made out of water. But when you look at water, it convinces you of the wisdom of creation, because creation really couldn't begin until water was created. But water defies the laws of physics. That's the part that amazes me. Everything, when it is cooled or frozen, gets heavier and more dense. Think of when you walk into a room, the cold air is at the bottom, the warm air is at the top. And if lava cools and gets hard, it's heavier than when it's liquid. But when you freeze water, the ice cubes pop up to the top. And when I was thinking that many years ago, I thought, wow, it's obvious there's an intelligence behind all this, because if everything, froze from the bottom up, how could we survive? There'd be no place for any, for water to exist, and all these creatures would die. So believe me, and God, and whatever your name for God is, but it's real. And there's an intelligence behind all of it, and it's a miracle, in a sense, just to be alive. And I know there are hard days to get through, but, keep aware of the miracles. Yes.
Yeah, I wrote a whole creation story that ended up getting cut from this book that was about that. It really is, once we were able to actually slow down and stop taking everything for granted. And I think that's one of the blessings that people discover if they get sick, is they suddenly stop taking for granted the miracle of tucking your child into bed or watching. Right now I live in Marin County on the ocean, and there's wildflowers all over the hillsides. It's just covered in wildflowers right now. It's like a miracle just to look outside. and to slow down and actually accept those everyday miracles as something that can touch your heart, that can move you.
Yeah.
And then, again, it doesn't mean that we don't feel the pain of life. We do. We actually feel that more as well. But you develop a kind of resilience where you're able to move more fluidly from one extreme emotion to the next, and then to sit in the mundane as well and still even appreciate that.
Yeah, I think when I look at a flower, it's like, who designed it? It's just so beautiful, and it keeps you in awe and helps you get through the day. Yeah, there's one lady I knew also that she had cancer, was dying. She had a plant in the house that was dying, so she threw the plant in the garbage can. And a few weeks later, her husband let her know that he had opened the garbage can, because she was in the hospital, and the plant was blooming in the garbage can. So he brought it to her at the hospital, and it saved her life, you know. Here's this plant she throws out in the garbage can, but it doesn't quit. That's the thing I've learned. I've watched plants grow through pavement and bring the family there to look to see how they knew which way was up, how it kept pushing till it broke through the pavement. It's just nature. It's just the greatest teacher there is. So I always say to people, you need a solution, you need a therapist, go for a walk in nature.
Amen.
Yes, and that's time to close the show. Any parting thoughts?
Yeah, I miss you, Lisa.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm going to be reading your book every day.
Thank you, Bernie.
To match them. Yeah, God bless
Thank you.
Thank you.
Until the next time, everyone, go on Bernie's site, and that's BernieSiegelMD.com.
Join us next time on Mind Health Matters with Dr. Bernie Siegel. Until then, remember, be fully engaged in life, loving every moment as your unique self. In going deep within to discover ourselves, we can also discover self-love. Then, when we let our hearts make up our minds, we connect what our bodies do so well to the power of love. We can boost our ability to grow and heal along with our self-esteem. The sense of empowerment that results from this mind-body connection is one related to self-induced healing. When you add spirit to that connection, making a mind-body-spirit connection, you nourish your soul. For more insight, go to BernieSiegelMD.com.
This is Dreamvision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.